Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're here reviewing the episode Buddy, Can You Spare a Father from Season 2 of Laverne and Shirley, directed by Ray DeValle Jr. and written by Monica Johnson and Eric Cohen. And I bet you get some information about them, don't you, Chris?
Yeah, I got a little bit. So the director of this episode, Ray DeValle Jr., this is the first episode. He's got quite a few more to go for Laverne and Shirley. Did 9 episodes. Primarily in his career, he worked as a technical coordinator through the 80s, kind of through this, a little bit of the 70s, a lot of the 80s, and a bit of the early to mid 90s. Mostly on sitcoms and things like that. So I wonder if he was kind of almost like a stage manager for, sitcoms that happened on sound stages, including pretty much 197 episodes of that 70s show, which I think means that's the entire run or thereabouts anyway.
It's a lot of them.
So that's the director. As for the two co-writers, this pair, Monica Johnson and Eric Cohen, did go on to do one more episode of Laverne and Shirley. Excuse me. They co-wrote one more episode together, which is it's coming up pretty soon after this. Monica Johnson, however, would continue to write and would also end up going on to do work with Albert Brooks, including some of his classics such as Modern Romance, Lost in America, Mother, and The Muse.
Wow. Now that's a resume. That's a resume. That's cool.
That is indeed.
That is awesome. Okay, this is what the episode's about. Shirley's sailor father, Jack, arrives for a visit and immediately does what he always does. Raises her hopes, borrows money from everyone, smiles a lot, and then disappears and breaks her heart. Unsurprisingly, he doesn't spend time with her during this trip either. And when a broken-hearted Shirley gets advice from Squiggy, he sends her right into the middle of a bar brawl at Moby Dominick's in pursuit of her father's love. What do you think of this one?
Interesting blend, I have to say. It's there's some good laughs, but man, so this is one that kind of hits a little close to home just because, I mean, it's not about me personally, but it's the experiences I've seen happen to people I love and care about that have dealt with a father figure that is neglectful at best, and outright narcissistic, sociopathic at worst. And when you hear enough of those kinds of stories, when you see a character like this, it's interesting that, Jack Feeney is charming as hell. I mean, this is a guy that, the lines like he never pays, but he never forgets, and the way that he is able to schmooze up to Edna and, his voice and his eyes, he understands all those things. And yet, God, what a snake. What this is like the male equivalent of a siren, He suckers you in and then drowns you in sorrow.
Yep. He seems to be this wonderful, charming dude, and instead he is just totally, completely selfish. Totally, completely self-centered. Thinks only of his own pleasure and of being a charming little dude and taking the money and running.
Yeah,
that's just sad, and that's just, that explains so much about Shirley.
It does, yeah. Well, I mean, and it does. I mean, I know you pointed out, and I confirmed it about the knock at the door.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention that, what you picked up on that?
Jack's knock is Carmine's knock, exactly.
Yeah.
Freudian.
Yep.
Freudian.
Yeah. But it's just it's interesting how this episode, runs up against the issue. We've talked about this before, where it has to put a happy bow at the end of the episode, even though they're sometimes letting someone get away with behavior that isn't great because they need family to win at the end. And the catch is that, realistically speaking, I mean, this is the kind of financial vampire that you just don't need in your life. I mean, I'm sorry, Jack is, and Scott Brady plays this part amazingly. He's so good as this character. But that character is a selfish, self-centered, narcissistic piece of shit.
Yes,
I mean, it's the equivalent of a landlocked emotional pirate.
Yep,
I mean, when we cut to Shirley, so we have this wonderful introduction, about him, and we get the setup with the guy from the funeral home coming to explain, the family plot's being sold, and then the discussion after that, and then there's a bit of a kind of a jump, and then he shows up, and we get to meet him, and then he totally charms Edna, and and Laverne, is not falling for it, because she loves her best friend, and says, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want that to happen. We get to Shirley at, having made this dinner, stuffed cabbage, and she's drinking more cooking sherry. And he's 3 hours late already. 3 hours late. Yeah. And I won't go into this story in depth because this is a personal story with people that I still know, but there was a one Thanksgiving dinner that did happen with one of the parents, and my mother was the only one left to comfort the kid who was working in the kitchen, and the parent wasn't there when they said they would be. So it's just I mean, just and that's the weird thing. It's kind of heavy in that regard because I mean, Laverne's loyalty and friendship is beautiful and sweet, and it kind of breaks your heart a little bit because you feel for Laverne not being able to fix it because when you're in that situation, you want to help, and it's like there's only so much you can do. God, I don't know if in any other episode I have wanted more to give Shirley a big hug.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's something beautiful about the way Laverne's protecting her. She's trying to protect her because she knows it's going to happen. Because it happens every time. She's probably seen this happen ever since Shirley was a little girl and they were little girls together.
Right.
And she's just seen this awful, constant, lifelong cycle that Shirley's gone through.
Yeah.
And she's just like drawing the line and just saying, no, this is what's going to happen. You're going to not participate in the cycle anymore. And Shirley just won't not participate in the cycle. And then Squiggy just pops in and gives her the little impetus that maybe if you do this, it'll be better. And that just sets her off. And in the end, it works out because they probably talk like adults.
Right.
But it takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
It definitely takes a while to get there.
In some respects, I guess it mirrors it mirrors in a very interesting way the episode, Mother Knows Best or Mother Knows Worst. Yes. And how you see, I think you and I were talking, I have some of the notes from our discussion about how, like, you were saying that Shirley is torn between her mom's ideals and the dream of dad's love.
Yes.
And by this episode, what you see is, this is that dream. You want to see that. She wants that. You see her want to see it, and you want that for her vicariously. I mean, I came to the horrifying realization that because I won't use this as an opportunity to get all, wanting to punch Carmine in the dick, but realistically speaking, you can see this is why she is with Carmine, because to be honest, that sense of abandonment and disappointment is familiar. And that's the sad thing about dealing with trauma, especially in family, that sometimes you stay in those bad situations because the familiarity is comfortable, and you would rather take that than be dealing with the unknown.
Yeah. But Shirley is torn between Barb's dream that she will marry up and marry someone who is not Jack. Right. Barb just wants Shirley to marry someone who is not Jack, someone who will actually be there, someone who will support her, someone who will take care of her. And Shirley just wants her dad. She just wants her dad to love her. And that's the ultimate goal in her head. And that kind of like explains a lot of stuff with Carmine, a lot of it, just like you covered. But she's caught between wanting to be her, who she is, this girl who hangs out with with forklift drivers, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And hangs out with this boxer and this guy she's loved since high school in her own way, and the dream of the professional white collar dude who is going to give her picket fence. And Jack is basically the kind of guy who would fight over a woman with a forklift. He's that kind of guy. Right. He's that kind of guy, and that just explains everything. That says everything you need to know. Yep. The end says everything you need to know.
And so much of this cycle element is just really symbolized by the broken record. That gag is,
Yep.
and I mean, it broke my heart, and it was so weird to hear the audience laughing. Like I get it, like it's being played as a bit of a gag,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
man, it just that stings. It stings so much.
Yeah. 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 In the end, it isn't funny. In the end, it isn't funny because she's literally clung to this memory of him,
Mm-hmm.
for years and years, and all she has is this broken record, playing over and over the same darn thing, over and over. It's just sad.
Yep. And I guess that's kind of, because they bring that back. I mean, we'll this is jumping ahead, but at the end when he sings the song with her in the bar in Moby Dominick's, that's the payoff basically, is she finally gets to hear the song, him sing the song to her, not as a broken record, but he's there. But the problem is that he's not going to make that change. He's going to go and he's going to be gone. And I'm assuming we don't see this character again.
No, we do not. We do not.
I mean, for me, dramatically as a writer, as a storyteller, I feel like, I want something. I want some answer, but as well, it's a case of, good riddance.
Yeah. Closure. A lot of things yearn for closure in this episode, in this series.
Yeah.
This is one of them. The fact that Shirley, in a way, I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end of the series. Like I said, I've said so multiple times that she gets what she wants, but on the other hand, it's nowhere near as satisfying as it should be for the audience that she gets what she wants. So yeah, Jack is the kind of guy who everybody around him adores, but the people who are absolutely closest to him know what a shit he is.
Yep.
And the fact that Shirley is the only one who's close to him that doesn't see that kind of says it all in a lot of ways.
And we don't see Frank interacting in this episode, correct?
No. No, he's not even in this episode, as far as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Which is odd, because you figure he's known this guy since the kids were little.
Right. Yeah.
He knows what kind of man this guy is, and they'd love to hear his perspective on it. Desperately.
Exactly.
I actually have I have a note that's just simple. This is so fucking Freudian, and so it is. This episode is very Freudian.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it right to this point that Shirley will do anything for her father to love her, and her father is kind of oblivious that his daughter loves him that much until she literally punches him right in the face.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see. I'm picking up what you're putting down. That's good. And I see that.
And she has the line, "You've been standing me up since I was 9 years old," and that just says it all.
It does.
That just says way too much about how willing she's forgiven, almost too willing to forgive him.
Yeah.
Almost too willing. So there's a lot of non-them stuff in this episode too. The Shirley and Squiggy dynamic is really good, really interesting.
Yeah, the whole fingernail thing.
Yeah, the whole fingernail orgy thing is hilarious. That's like the only day we pick up manicurists and they have manicurists up there doing their nails.
Yeah, I gotta say, nice fingernail orgy. That is a band name.
Yes. Yes, it is. This is. I love that it's Squiggy who gives her the pep talk, and it's Squiggy who comes up with some personal information about what his background is like. His stepfather, we already know he doesn't get along with his stepfather. His stepfather, when he was a kid, locked him in the closet.
Yeah, that's
why he likes moths. That's why he likes moths.
Ugh, it's so rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm only friends with the little moths. Gosh.
Yeah.
So that means that he's been raising some of those moths for generations.
Yep. And that's why he raises them. That's why he grows them. That's why he takes care of them. That's why he's emotionally bonded to them.
Yep.
And that is sad as heck. This still isn't as sad. He has a darn sad backstory. It's still not as sad as Lenny's, which is really, really awful. We'll get to it.
Oh boy. Oh,
It's
God.
really sad, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh, man.
The funny, goofy men have sad feelings. No, man. But Shirley tries so hard to be tough, and she gets inspired by Squiggy here. Considering how repulsed she is by him, it's really interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say is like, it's terrible advice that he gives, but at least it's a catalyst for plot mechanics.
Yeah. At
So
least he cares. He cares in that way that'll move the plot.
before I forget, I have this in my notes that that jacket of Squiggy's,
Yes.
that is a choice.
Makes him look like Leisure Suit Larry, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the beginning of the episode, there's almost a missed hello entrance rather. I kind of feel like there was a missed hello entrance because the way the episode is edited, it feels like there's something missing. There's another syndication edit where they just chop something out randomly, I think. I'm pretty sure.
It feels like it. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
Also, of a humorous note, I have this spot of I did find it amusing that the record was all bent from being sent from the equator.
Yeah, the equator.
Yeah, as a son of a Sri Lankan, I find this amusing.
There you go. There you go. I love that that's her excuse, and it's been warped from being in the basement. I have to point out that an episode after Lenny and Laverne did the laundry together, they went shopping together.
Oh,
They went grocery shopping together. No, Laverne apparently hated it because he's sitting in the cart making her push him around while yelling "wee."
Yeah, you're not. Hey, didn't he watch Ega? You're not supposed to. They don't say we. Nobody says we.
Shut up about your dune buggy already.
So I guess if they've gone laundrying together, they've gone shopping together. I guess if they go to the post office, they'll be shipping together.
Oh.
You love it when I say things like that. Come on.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Anyway. I was going to mention everything about the barroom fight is a lot of fun.
It is.
The way all the physical comedy that Penny does, literally clinging off of a chandelier, while Carmine does these spinning punches in his Mambo shirt. It's like,
oh God.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, and the guy eating the hat, and
yeah.
Oh, yep. I kind of love that Carmine's a crappy fighter.
Yeah, he's a boxer.
Yeah,
I think he'd be better at it.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah. But by the way, so we haven't covered the bartender in this episode, the tattooed bartender, who's fantastic in this episode, by the way. Yes. I thought he was great. We've actually seen him in this season already.
Yeah, we have, haven't we? I don't remember what he did.
I'm gonna double check to make sure I'm not just blowing smoke here. Let me just double checky. So the bartender is played by Jack Perkins. Now, not the Jack Perkins for you Misties out there.
Yeah.
But the Jack Perkins that was the patient in Angels of Mercy.
Oh my. Because I didn't notice.
Yeah. I mean, well, clearly he was under a lot of more makeup. And so it makes me wonder, were the tats there or did they have to put those on? I figured by this point they probably had enough budget for makeup, but it was fun. And as I said, he's great.
Yeah. He's fabulous.
He also apparently was in Herbie Goes Bananas. Oh my God.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Oh, I just found my notes talking about the bar fight. It's Bop and the Daddy. Oh yeah. So I watched this episode with my mother, who also dealt with narcissistic father figures in her life and hated hated those types of people. So when when Shirley bops into Daddy, my mom said, "Good, he deserved it. He's an asshole."
Again, your mom is fabulous.
Yeah,
she is. Mom is fabulous.
And so, yeah, it's much more kinder than my note, which is good, Shirley. Go ahead, keep going. Break more ribs, in fact. But anyway, though, as the episode wraps up, as we were saying, it's an interesting. I mean, it's a bummer. I mean, this guy asked his daughter for $10 for a bet after all of this, after being told don't do that, after told all these things.
Yeah.
And Jack will be Jack and never change, and Shirley will never let go of him. And so, yeah, God, hey, future me, I hope you're going to be putting a content warning on this one. But yeah,
Well, we said the F word.
I guess it's a kind of a bummer because I mean I enjoyed the episode, but it grates on me that Garry can't let it be an actual realistic arc.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of tragic that way. He has to have his happy ending.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that while Laverne always has to apologize to Frank, and Shirley has to have a happy ending with her mom and her dad, you will notice later on in this series, Lenny never has to apologize to his mother for his mother never has to apologize to him after what happens, and Squiggy rejects his dad, his biological dad, and he never comes to terms with anything that happened with his mom and stepfather. So it's interesting that the boys don't have to reconcile with their parents. They have each other, and that's the primary bond and the important bonds. Well, the girls have to continuously apologize and reconcile with their parents. I think that's an interesting move.
It is. I don't know if there's something there, if that's just coincidence. It's kind of hard to tell.
I don't know if it's coincidental. I don't know if it's a overall choice, considering the way the writing went on the show. I don't know, but yeah, it's fascinating.
So what do you rank in this episode? I'm kind of curious to hear what your thoughts are because I'm still deliberating.
Ooh, this is somewhere around 5 or 5.5. 5.5. It feels like a 5.5. Not just 6. I'm gonna go with a 6 for this one.
Yeah, I was thinking a 6 as well.
Yeah, there's great stuff with the boys. Great emotional, buttons here. Carmine and Laverne showing up for Shirley no matter what is great. The bar brawl is a lot of fun. Cindy Williams really, really, really plays all the right notes. She really hits them hard. She really makes Shirley's pain completely understandable and completely empathetic, and really beautifully etches that. And I really liked all the way everything comes together. But in the end, it's really annoying that she has to forgive this guy. She just has to forgive this guy. She has to forgive her dad. She does not have to, she tells him how much pain she's been in. And he kind of glad handles her, and you don't know if he's going to really ever change and come a better guy.
It is.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yes, it really is frustrating. Really think about
I think you pretty much covered all that I could say as well. It's a and as an episode, I guess, and that's the thing. I feel like some people, the mileage may vary, that they appreciate the episode more because they're able to live with it, or they like characters like this. I mean, it's wild when I hear stories. That's why people watch shows like The Leftovers. They love seeing people be horrible to each other, and it's like, why do you do that to yourselves? And so, some people like this type of character enough to like to see them in comedy, but I guess to us, it's like it hits a little too close to home for me, at least. And and so I just I don't want there to be, and I guess what it is like it hits it hits a sour note for a show that I like for its escapism, and then when it has the space to do something a little deeper to actually make a really good emotional point, which other episodes have in the past, it flinches is the wrong word. Half measure, I guess would be what it is, because it is really, really well written psychology for this character, and the way that I think the writers have figured out Shirley's personality, why she's with Carmine, all these these sort of Freudian or psychological aspects, as we've been pointing out, they're using it. I mean, this is not unintentional. This is not. I mean, this is too good to be happenstance. They are intentionally figuring out how to make these connective things work, and it threads it together well comedically at times as well also. But it's 6.5 maybe at best, but even then the bar fight's pretty good. It's got some good stunts, but it's not perfect. I did like the hat guy, the guy who was kept eating the hat. Yeah, I my note about that is like, sir, you are not a zombie yet, sir. Please cease. So anyway, 6.5, but cool. I think that's gonna be at least gonna be it for me on this one.
It's good. It's a good episode. It's got some good points, and it's got one annoying point right at the end.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. This was a bit of a heavier episode, a little heavier than I expected, as we really got into it. But thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more goofiness next week. And if you'd like to reach out to us on the internet, so you can find us on Twitter at NightAfterNightPC or Night After Night Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, WordPress, and Patreon. And please do definitely check us out, because we would love to hear from you folks. If you'd like to send us a question or a comment of some sort, you can reach us at nightafterNightPod@gmail.com. Thank you so much. And I should probably just go ahead and let Lisa here talk about the next episode, because this one I remember when we were doing reviews for this, you had us go through 2 whole discs in one night, one session, just so we could get to this episode.
That's because I love it very much. Shirley wins a free honeymoon weekend in a suite at the Pfister Hotel, and the entire gang teams up to try to get her dream vacation. But when the hotel's heads interfere and try to get her to do a lot of publicity work, the gang has to put their heads together and figure out how to get the most out of their weekend without tipping off the authorities. That's Honeymoon Hotel.
All right. So that'll be nice. Honeymoons are nice and romantic. So yeah, cool. Hope everybody joins us for that. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a good time. I mean, you got a hotel, you got a honeymoon, you got hijinks ensuing. I think it's all good. Cool. All right.
Acrobats, all that jazz.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll see you next time, folks.
Remember, if you have a new friend called Born to Kill, don't introduce him to your father. Bad things will happen. Bye.